Good morning, all you beautiful beings of light, all you love streamers out there, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, Zoom, or wherever you are. We want to welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte. I am your host, Horace. If this is your first time, we are so delighted that you have chosen to join us today. With modern technology, we are extremely grateful for this opportunity to touch so many lives. And as we share the wonderful happenings at CSL Charlotte. So please feel free to visit our website, cslcharlotte.org. You can put in a prayer request and subscribe. We add our recordings to our website each week. So let me tell you more about us, CSL Charlotte. The Center for Spiritual Living Charlotte is a New Thought community, living in ancient wisdom philosophy based on the science of mind. This science of mind philosophy was developed in the early 20th century by writer and lecturer Dr. Ernest Holmes. Dr. Holmes was a man on a mission. He studied truths from all of the world's religious traditions and spiritual paths. Holmes developed a fresh new way for us to look at ourselves and how we fit into our world. At CSO Charlotte, every philosophy is honored, along with every race, sexual orientation, and physical distinction. This is a diverse community. There are many paths to the divine. We can call it God, peace, love, spirit, infinite mind, or the I am presence. It really doesn't matter what you call it. This is your power that resonates within you. You do not have to leave your philosophy or nature of knowledge. You can join us anytime. We recognize and refer to many of the Holy Scriptures, such as the Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and that's just to name a few. So our vision statement here at CSO Charlotte is to continue a spiritual community, creating and preparing a succession of future leaders who can fully integrate, teach, and expose the science of mind principles, messages, and practices that strengthen the mind, body, and spirit of individuals. But one of our aims is to create a high collective consciousness for everyone in this community. We teach everyone the tools to do just that. So come and join us as we meet each Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. For our consciousness meeting, which you will find out more in detail later on. So welcome everyone and enjoy our services as we celebrate this powerful being which lives within each and every one of us. So before I pass the mic to our wonderful and awesome guest speaker today, I want to leave you with this quote. You will never know who you are unless you shed who you pretend to be. And that's from Veronica Tugaleva, who is an author, poet, and activist. Also, if life is a stage and you are your own agent, then don't hesitate to play the character you wish to play. And that's from Rochelle Goodrich, author and poet. So what I want to let you know today that our esteemed leader is taking a much needed vacation, and we applaud her for that. And we bless her and keep her in our prayers as she takes a much needed respite. So today on our platform, I want to introduce our featured speaker today, Reverend Dr. Wanda. And so I'm going to hand the mic over to her.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here this morning and to support Reverend Rosie on taking some precious time off to care for herself. And so today, what I would like to do is I would like to introduce to you Reverend Millie, who's going to pray us in this morning.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Millie. I'm so grateful to be here today, to be with you. And so let us pray. Let's get started on that note of prayer. And so right now, as I just breathe in. I breathe in the allness, the fullness, the love of spirit. For there's only one. There's only one source, one light, one God, one divine expression of all that there is. And that divinity exists in myself and in each and every one of us. There are no exceptions, for we cannot be separated by our life source. We are all, we are all spiritual beings having a human experience right here and right now. And that's spiritual beings having this experience. We do so from that place of just knowing that spirit leads and guides us in everything that we do and say. And if we decide to, we can listen to what spirit has to say, not just from an intellectual way, but to listen with our intel. And that is something that Reverend Wanda will be speaking with us today about. I'm absolutely grateful for these words of wisdom that come through her as God uses her as the conduit through which it speaks today and gives its blessed message. And so I give thanks. I give thanks for this community. I give thanks for Source, for all that is, knowing that as God is everywhere present, we are everywhere present in that same vein of love. It is all love. It is all about love. And with that, I release this prayer, release it into the law of mind that makes it so. And we can affirm this together by saying, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you so much, Millie. That was beautiful. I loved it. Thank you for that beautiful prayer. And I would now like to introduce Karen A. And the reason I want to say something, I asked her this week to come up with a reading that would set up the talk for today. And she read it to me yesterday, and it was so beautiful and so perfect. And she is going to share that with you right
now. Hey, thank you. Good morning. To try to identify with the part of your mind where stillness and peace reign forever. Listen in deep silence. Be very still and open your mind. Sink deep into the peace that waits for you. Beyond the frantic, riotous thoughts and sights and sounds of this insane world. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. This mind, the mind that serves spirit, is invulnerable. The mind which serves the spirit is at peace and filled with joy. Its power comes from spirit, and it is fulfilling happily its function here. Yet mind can also see itself divorced from spirit and perceive itself within a body it confuses with itself. Without its function, then it has no peace, and happiness is alien to its thoughts. A tranquil mind is not a little gift. Merely rest, alert, but with no strain, and let your mind in quietness be changed so that the world is freed along with you. The mind, which means that all at once is peace, must join with other minds, for that is how peace is obtained. And when the wish for peace is genuine, the means for finding it is given, and a form each mind that seeks for it in honesty can understand. And so it is.
That was beautiful. I love that song because all of us at one point or another create these safe little nests for ourselves. We cling to that tree. We don't want to fly. It's too scary. And, you know, that's human nature. And also we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We need to come down from the tree. We need to be in the world as well, but not of it. That's the challenge. So today I'm talking about the difference between intellect and intel, that inner voice that we have. We have this capacity to take in so much knowledge and so much information, and it's held in the container of our brain. It's like a warehouse up there that has all these little containers, and at the level of our involvement in our spiritual capacity, it's stored there. And in there is the sum total of everything we've already absorbed, everything we've ever read, everything we've ever seen, everything we've ever been taught, and what we come to believe about our gender, our sexual orientation, our ethnicities, our cultures, our customs, our dogmas, generational belief systems. From all of that, when we form, we always form beliefs and perceptions from all that information that's up there that we have collected. But the key is, when we got here, when we first got here, we didn't have all that stuff. None of that was there. Yet we had absolutely everything that we could possibly need to walk through life with grace, and to fly, and to soar, and to be joyful. However, then we create this spiritual amnesia, and all this information comes in, and we get confused. And I really think of that as kind of a spiritual amnesia. Then we spend the rest of our lives trying to get back to that place where we didn't have all that stuff. Knowledge is good. Knowledge gives us a reference point, but knowledge isn't the thing that creates manifestation and change. We know that an idea then becomes a perception or a belief, and we act upon that perception or belief. And then once we do that, then we get a feeling, and it's the feeling that we get that creates the manifestation of that. So if the feeling we get is one of hopelessness, or helplessness, or I'm not good enough, or I'm afraid, I don't want to go there, because if I go there, I'll have to be afraid. Maybe I'll get hurt. Well, I've got some good news and some bad news for you. You are going to get hurt. That's the good news. Because when we are hurt, pain and fear are great motivators. They push us to become more. They push us through. And so, yes, you are going to be hurt. But when you walk through that pain and fear, what happens is that you arrive at the other side, and there's light. You shed light upon it. You step into the light, and you're born again, so to speak. Last week was Easter. It was the resurrection. And so what happened on Easter? Well, Christ was gone. He was buried. He was in the tomb, and the women came to the tomb, and there was this big rock, and it was rolled away. So every time we take that step into the unknown, move towards that, whatever it is, our sadness, our fears, whatever they are, and that stone rolls away, and they walked in there, and all the burial bandages were gone. That's what we're doing in this life. We're being resurrected every day. We're removing those burial bandages so we can be clothed in those beautiful robes of light with which we came in, the halo that surrounds us. So what happens is that we are afraid. Last week, Reverend Rosa was talking to her, the week before, I can't remember if it was last week or I don't even know what happened yesterday half the time, because I'm so in the present. But it was all about vulnerability, about how important it is to be vulnerable. So we know now that we need to be vulnerable. But the reality is, what does that mean? How do we do that? What exactly is vulnerability? Well, vulnerability is actually fear. It's being afraid. It's being afraid to do whatever we need to do. It's being afraid to move forward. It's being afraid of susceptibility to attack or harm. And we don't want our emotions to show. We don't want to look weak. We don't want to be seen or known, or have the willingness to risk being emotionally hurt. So, but the thing is, if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable, if you don't go to that place, what happens is that you can never have true connection. You can never have true communication. You can never be free. And to be free is to rid yourself of fear and guilt and obligation, and that place inside yourself that says, I'm not enough. if I am vulnerable, if I tell that thing that makes me, that one thing, and we all have that shame story. We all have something that no one else has ever heard. We are never going to speak of it. It's in that dark room of our mind. And so it's a negative that needs to be developed. It needs to be brought to light. However, the fear keeps us from doing that. And so what do we do? What next? Well, I was listening to a TED Talk the other day, and I heard Brene Brown say something that was such a perfect explanation of what that is. And it was, what we do is we find someone. We don't throw our pearls to swine, so to speak, as it says in the Bible, because those pearls were created from the irritations, from the pain within the oyster, which then surrounded that irritation, that grain of sand, with this beautiful translucent jewel. And so it comes from that irritation, from that awfulness that we don't want to see, we don't want to have inside of ourselves. And so what Brene Brown said was, we find someone who has earned the right to hear our shame story. Someone who has earned the right to hear our shame story. And is a person who realizes, has the consciousness and the awareness of what a precious gift that is, who will take that pain from you, who will take that fear from you, shed light on it and put it away where it belongs. Take it away from you and free you from that. Once you have given your shame story a voice, you're free. You're free. No one can hold anything over your head. You can't be coerced. You don't have to feel guilty because, oh my God, if I tell this story, everybody's going to know who I really am. And who you've really decided you are is not worthy to be completely open, that you're not enough, but you are enough. I'm here to tell you that you are definitely enough. So what I would like to say about all of this is that each and every person is a never to be repeated miracle. You each have a gift that you came into the world with. And through the development of going through all of the pain, all of the angst, all of the joy, every experience you've ever had on this planet forms who you are today. And you are always perfect and whole in the mind of God because you come from that place that God is. And in the beginning, when people ask that thing that we call God, who are you? The answer was, I am. I am. And when I think to myself, who am I? Well, I am. I am. I am that. I am that I am. Because it's the ocean from which I came. I have everything within me to be able to move mountains, to create miracles, because that's where I came from. That's my divine DNA. That is your divine DNA. You have the power within you, and you have to go into that place in your heart where spirit lives. That's where the intel is. That's where you're going to get the truth. Because my grandmother used to tell me, you can't trust your lying eyes. You can't believe everything you hear, because someone could be standing across the room and they're just chit-chatting and laughing it up, and one of them glances over at you and then they glance back at each other and they laugh, and for sure they're talking about you. Your eyes have told you they're talking about you. They're saying something about you. They're laughing at you. And the truth is, they're not even thinking about you. Because my grandmother also told me, they're too busy thinking about themselves. They could care less what you're doing, but we put things on people. We put our perceptions on people, and we think that they're thinking what we think they're thinking. And the truth is, they are not thinking about us. We are creating all that within. We manifest our world. We create everything in our world because everything comes from a thought. First the thought, then there's the feeling, and then the feeling creates the manifestation. That's what we believe in science of mind. Everything comes from feeling. The book The Secret is all about that. every religion has something pertaining to that. It's about the feeling. And so what I would like for you to take away today is to be able to be vulnerable, to go within and to risk being emotionally hurt. Because inevitably, whether you try to protect yourself, whether you try to cling to that tree and press your face against the bark, you eventually are going to be emotionally hurt. That is the way of life. That is what rubs us, those rough edges off of the jewel that we already are, and each of you is so uniquely expressed. And I've often said the ocean is uniquely expressed in many ways. It will have evaporation, it will be mist, it will be fog, it will be storm, it will be rain. There's different manifestations, and each of us is like a drop from that ocean that is being individually expressed in a way that no one, no thing, no one can express in exactly that way in all of infinity, forever. Forever. There is nothing in the universe, not just on this planet, but in all of the universe. That is such a miracle. That is so miraculous. And you each are a never to be repeated miracle. And once you get that gunk out of your inside, that shame story, then you can see clearly. You can begin to see everyone that passes you is a never to be repeated miracle. The bum sitting in front of the 7-Eleven is a never to be repeated miracle. We don't know their shame story. We don't know what has happened in their life to bring them there. But what we can do, coming from that freedom of spirit, is to love them, to see them as whole, see them as they may want to be in their lives, see that they have the ability to do that, and know for them somehow the universe will bring them to where they need to be. And simply by smiling or saying hello elevates them. We are on this planet to elevate one another. We are on this planet to shed our light on one another. And every time we shed our light on each other, it grows and it grows and it grows and it grows. And I just saw a study this week that said the prayer, for example, the mathematical formula of the heart math from prayer is that our hearts have the ability to send energy out 3 to 6 feet. So if you're sitting 6 feet next to someone, you are sending your energy to them, and they're sending their energy to the next person, and they're sending their energy to the next person. And before you know it, it's surrounding the world. And you know how many people it takes to shift the world? You take the mass of people in the world, you get the square root of it, and it only takes that many people to change the world. If there's only 3 of you praying, it takes 1.72 people to change everything that you're praying about. Period. And that is proven. And the way it was proven, there was a study in 27 cities in the United States, and they took 27 cities in the United States. They took the mass of people in that city. They picked that many people, the square root of that many people. They trained them in prayer, and they had them pray in that way for 30 days. Prior to the study, they checked on crime. They checked on poverty. They checked on homelessness. They checked on all the things that happen, all that cacophony of stuff that you hear, the craziness, the chaos in the world. They checked all that. In 30 days, they went back and rechecked that stuff. After these people had been praying for 30 days, the homelessness rate went down. The amount of mental illness going into hospitals went down. Crime went down. Poverty went down. So it is a proven fact that prayer changes the world. All the knowledge that we take in our head, that's great information. It helps us to make educated decisions as we walk our path on this world. But there's something greater inside of us that gives us the final word. When we take the time to go inside, we know that we are I am that I am. And I have the power to move mountains. You have the power to move mountains. You go into the side. That's why we have spiritual practices. You go into that still, silent place. My grandmother in Native American, many of you know I'm Native American, that's called the seventh direction. That's the place where when all was said and done, God came and rested in the seventh direction, in the heart. In the heart is where the answers are. That's where faith resides. And faith, Faith, means finding answers in the heart. That's where the answers are. So never think that you're not enough, because I'm here to tell you right here and right now, you are enough. Wow, I love that song about being fearless, because you have to live your truth. And I want to share something with you before I turn this over to Horace, is that Barack Obama, I remember when he wrote a book called The Audacity of Hope. And someone asked him if he was ever afraid. Did he have such, how could he have such courage? And he said, well, courage isn't being unafraid. Courage implies fear, because if you don't have fear, you don't need to be courageous. And so what you do is about what you do with that fear. And you can never be free or fearless. You will always have to have courage, as long as you hold that shame story within you. You have to let it go. And if you let it go, then you soar. Then you can come down from that tree and you can soar. Trust me on that one. I know that from precedence. I don't have blind faith. I have the fear of precedence. I know what can happen when you let go of all those fears, when you take off the mask and you let your true self come out, when you're living your truth, when you live out loud. And that's what you were intended to do. And I know each and every one of you here right now are so creative and so miraculous. And I am so blessed to be able to be here today with you. Okay, that was a great service today. And before we do our last song, I shared with you at the beginning of this service, I am that. Remember those three words, I am that. But before we leave today, I'm going to push all of you out of that safe little nest in the tree so that you can soar. And I'm going to invite you with me to say three new words every morning, the moment your eyes open. Before you get out of bed, I want to leave you with three words to say out loud. I am enough. I am enough. I am enough. And stepping into the world with that energy each morning for the next 30 days will change your life in ways you have no idea. Just knowing that we're leading with the concept and with the feeling of, I am enough. I don't have to be anything but my true self. And so thank you for letting me share with you today. I've enjoyed the service. I'll be staying on afterwards if anyone needs prayer as well with our prayer person, Reverend Millie. And so thank you. So every day we'll rise up, rise up, rise up, because you are enough. So I want to thank everyone today who helped to put this service together. And I want to reiterate just for a moment the vision of CSL Charlotte. We are here every week to empower you, to enlighten you, to rise you up, to help you stand in your truth, to create future leaders in the world, and to send that positive energy out into the world every Sunday to lift anyone who needs to be lifted. And so today I want to thank those people, our lifters for today. I want to thank both Karens, Karen for that beautiful reading, and Karen for the prayer, and Maureen, our emeritus our emeritus practitioner, who every week holds the light for us. She is the light of the service. She holds the light. And for Horace, who stepped up and was the MC and guided us through the service today. And for Ellen, Ellen's the glue. Ellen's the glue that holds everything together. It's like the air we breathe that connects us. Ellen's the glue. So thank you, Ellen. Thank you, everyone who participated. Groovy G, for the work that you do. If I've forgotten anyone, please forgive me, because you are not forgotten in my heart. And so it is.
And so now we just conclude our service with a prayer. And I don't know about any of you, but there's just so much heart-opening information in today. I have an entire page of notes here. But one of the things that I just really, really loved about the talk, along with the other rest of the page that I jotted down, is that we are all never to be repeated miracles. I'm going to be using that, Dr. Wanda. I just want you to know. And so I know for each of us, as in the song that we just heard from Andra Day, that when we rise up, we're not just rising up we're rising up, but yes, we're rising up for ourselves. Because when we rise ourselves up, we lift up the world around us. And just know that as we do this, we do that from that space of great love and acceptance. If you're comfortable with me, I invite you to close your eyes and let's pray together. So now as we just breathe in and just know, and we have listened to all of the beautiful words that have been said today, we know that Spirit speaks to each and every one of us and has spoken to each and every one of us through Reverend Wanda on this beautiful day, knowing that we are absolutely worthy of love, and knowing that it is okay to be vulnerable, because when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, we allow ourselves to that heart-opening space that gives us that inner strength to rise up and be who, what, and how it is that Spirit came to express through us, because we are God in expression. And so with that, I just give great thanks. I give great thanks for today, for all of the platform, for all of the words, and just for my full heart. And I pray that each and every one of us is having that same experience of inner heart-opening joy. I release this prayer into the law of mind that just says yes. It always says yes. And I anchor this by saying, and so it is.